What's going on, guys? And welcome to my AFC West video. This is gonna be the final video in my AFC prediction ranking that I have. And this one was a little bit more complicated for me, just because I don't think that there are teams that I could see these teams beating, and I don't really have like the highest amount of confidence in some of these other teams. Like, for example, the Chargers. As you guys see, I have them at number one in the AFC West. I'm not entirely confident in this, but looking at their roster and their defense and their schedule, I don't see. I don't know. It just doesn't really seem like there are teams that could beat the Chargers based on what their schedule is. Also, just to clarify for people who aren't aware, the division standings I gave to the home team. I just think that that's going to be the easiest way to do this and split it. So I have everyone splitting to 3-3. Obviously, some teams could uh, sweep, but I don't see it. But starting off with the Chargers, we have week 1 at the Raiders. I think that, again, since I have it for week 1 and 2, the home team wins. That's implied, as I already said. And then moving on to week 3, I don't see any possible scenario the Jaguars beat the Chargers. I think that the Chargers are just one of the best teams in the league right now. I honestly don't think that they could do or be 13-4, but that's like their ceiling that I have them at. Their floor, I could honestly see them being around a 10-win team. I just don't see them going 8-9 or 9-8. It just doesn't like seem like it. Uh, Again with the Browns, I think this is a guaranteed win, and the Texans. Texans I have as the second worst team, or one of the worst teams in the NFL this season. And the Browns, I think, are just going to be bad depending on who's their quarterback. Now, as I record this video on August 12th, there are rumors that Jimmy Garoppolo could be traded to the Browns, which could put the Browns in contention again, I think. But at the same time, I don't think that this would be able to have them beat the Chargers personally. Then the Seahawks, they have one of the weakest rosters for me in the NFL right now. It just comes down to who's going to start at quarterback. Is it going to be Geno Smith or Drew Lock? Both of which I don't think are good enough quarterbacks to start. They have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, both of which who are amazing receivers. They just drafted Kenneth Walker, who I think is going to be an amazing running back now that Chris Carson retired. I just don't see them being able to squeak one out against the Chargers, but who knows? I might be shocked here. Um, and then scrolling down to week 10 against the San Francisco 49ers, I think that the only way that this team has even a shot, because their defense is amazing, but I think Justin Herbert is too good. I think it just comes down to Trey Lance. I'm not entirely confident in Trey Lance being a first-year starter. There are people all over Twitter, link down below if you want to follow, who are saying that Trey Lance is going to end up being the new Patrick Mahomes. I don't see that. Patrick Mahomes went to Texas Tech, which is in the SEC or the Big 12. I think it's the Big 12, now that I say it out loud. So they always play top-end talent, but Trey Lance comes from North Dakota State, if I'm remembering correctly, and North Dakota State does not face top end talent. They're a D2 school. They're very small. So I'm not saying that Trey Lance is going to be like super untalented and bad quarterback. I just think he's going to have some growing pains. Week 12, I have the Chargers beating the Cardinals, and then scrolling down, the only games that I don't feel entirely confident in would be against the Dolphins and against the Titans. The Titans could beat the Chargers. If the Titans manage to hold or the Chargers manage to hold the Titans to under 100 rush yards, that's going to be a guaranteed win. And then week 14, I have the Chargers beating the Dolphins. I'm not entirely sure that the Dolphins will lose this game. It depends on Tua and Tyreek, and I think by week 14 that the Tua to Tyreek connection will be almost unstoppable. I just have a lot of confidence in the Chargers secondary. I think that Derwin James is the best safety in the NFL right now. And with all the corners they have, and Asante Samuel Jr., they just got J.C. Jackson. I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of wiggle room for quarterbacks to throw deep on the Chargers. So right now I have the Chargers going 13-4, and this would put them as the best team in the NFL. But I'm only sticking with this because of how easy their schedule is. I think more than likely this is going to be inaccurate, and the Chargers are going to be closer to a 10-win team. But so I'll just give the Chargers and the Titans wins here, and that puts them at 11-6. But the point still stands. I think that they could be third in their conference. I just don't am not entirely sure what to make of this team for right now. Moving on. Next, we have the Chiefs. The Chiefs, I am not as confident in this team as everyone else is. Everyone else that I know of is acting like the Chiefs are going to be the best team in the NFL. They're going to for sure go to the Super Bowl. They're going to be competing for a Super Bowl spot. But I do not see the Chiefs being able to compete for a Super Bowl spot. Yes, the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes, who is, in my opinion, as I mentioned in my AFC South video, the second best quarterback in the NFL right now. But I do not see, with the tight end room being Travis Kelce, and that's about it. Not that Travis Kelce isn't a great or a tight end, because he is easily one of the best, if not the best. But I don't see the Chiefs being able to be like as good as they were. Losing Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins is one of the biggest losses for this team, because that Patrick Mahomes to Tyreek Hill connection was just insane. And I think that people are going to be disappointed in the Chiefs this year. I'm not, again, I think that they'll be a playoff contender, but I do not think that they will be nearly as good as people are saying they are. That being said, I have them starting off 2-0, 3-0 actually, and then I think they're going to get beat by the Bucs, because I think, if I remember correctly, Tom Brady leads the series, and then I have them coming back to win against the Raiders, and then being upset by the Bills. I think that this game in Week 6 is going to be one of the best games of the year. I think that if the Bills play everything perfectly and they are as hot as everyone is expecting them to be and hoping that they will be, I think that they will beat the Chiefs here. I have a very good feeling in the Bills. And then scrolling down, I have them coming back after their bye, stomping on the Titans, stomping on the Jaguars, and then losing to the Chargers in LA, and then back to beating the Rams at home. But I am also not entirely confident in this game. I feel like the Chiefs could actually lose this game. Yes, it's being played in Arrowhead, but the Rams are favorites to be back-to-back Super Bowl champions right now. And I think even though the Rams lost Von Miller, I think that it's going to be a really, really close game. And depending on if people figure out Cooper Kupp or not, because that Matthew Stafford to Cooper Kupp connection was just the best connection in the league last year. I don't know. I'm not entirely confident in this team. I'm also curious for their defense, because their defense wasn't really that great last year. Yeah, they came through when they needed to, but they have Dan Sorensen at safety, which I know they got safety help, and they just drafted Trent McDuffie, and they drafted George Karlaftis, who I think is going to be a good pass rusher for the Chiefs. I'm not entirely confident in what they have. But scrolling all the way down, I have them finishing off with 11-6, and this would currently put them at second in the AFC West. I don't know if this one's entirely true. I feel like the Raiders could be a little bit better than the Chiefs, but I don't have the Raiders winning this division. I currently have the Chargers winning. I have the Denver Broncos in third place. I think that with the addition of Russell Wilson, yes, they lost Tim Patrick, who is a very good veteran presence. I think that they could be a very good team. I just have a lot of concerns with the receiver room right now. Cortland Sutton, I know, is a really good receiver, but I'm curious about Jerry Jeudy. I was expecting him to pop off last year, and then he didn't, so I was a little bit disappointed in my mind. I think that altogether the Broncos got better. I think that they are just really good all around, and I think that in reality the odds that the Broncos don't make the playoffs this year is pretty low. That being said, I think that there are going to be splits, so that might make the Broncos not make the playoffs. But with Russell Wilson, I think that it's going to be great. They also have a really good run game. I have them starting off 3-0, and then they lose to the Raiders in Vegas, and then they come back, and then they come back, and then they lose to the Chargers, and then they beat the Jets and Jaguars before going on their bye. I think that these two games are going to be very good for the Broncos to get confidence boosted. And then scrolling down, I have the Titans losing to them. I think that the Titans will lose this game. I do not think that Ryan Tannehill will make the best plays against the Broncos secondary, who have Pat Surtain, the second best safety in the league, I think, in Justin Simmons, etc. Plus, with Nick Bonito and all of the extra pieces they added, I just expect this team to be great. And then I have the Broncos beating the Raiders, and then a surprisingly upset win with the Panthers beating the Broncos. I think that with Baker Mayfield, the Panthers are going to be better than people are expecting. And then the Ravens I have as being one of the best teams in the league this year. And then just scrolling down, the only game that they lose out of their last five will be against the Rams, who I think will torch their secondary, and against the Chiefs, which it's an Arrowhead. So this could be an upset for the Broncos. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, this puts the Broncos in third place. I have them beat it or finishing with a record of 11-6. I'm not entirely confident in this one. I think that this division is the hardest to rank because I genuinely do not know. I mean, for example, I have every team right now going 11-6 except for the Chargers, who I have going 12-5. I just think that it's way too close to figure out. But the only reason I have the Chargers going 12-5 compared to everyone else is I just think the Chargers schedule is easier. And then finally, in last place, sadly, I'm sorry, Raiders fans, I just don't think it's this year for you guys. You guys still have a winning record, I have, but I don't see it, unfortunately. But I have to get the Raiders. Now, I know what everyone is probably thinking. The Raiders got Devontae Adams. He's the best receiver in the league, and with all the footage that we've seen at training camp, he's been pretty good. The Derek Carr to Devontae Adams connection looks amazing. But I have them finishing last, unfortunately. I just think that while this is a very easy schedule for the Raiders, I just don't see them being able to keep up with the other powerhouses of the AFC West. Unfortunately, they still finished with the same record as the Broncos and the Chiefs, but I just don't think with the splits that it would work. I have them starting off 0-1 though. Unfortunately, with the loss to the Raiders, I think that it's a very important game, and I just don't or the Chargers, and I don't think that they'll be able to go into LA and beat the Chargers, unfortunately. And then I have them beating the Cardinals, losing to the Titans. I just worry about that run defense. They could beat that run defense, or they could beat Derrick Henry, but I'm just not entirely sure. And then beating the Broncos at home, but I'm not confident about this one again because it's a divisional game. And then same thing with the Chiefs. And then I think that the Raiders are lucky because they come out of the game or of the bye week in week 6 with a game against the Texans in week 7. And I think if they don't win this game, that this will just show their entire season is thrown away. I have them losing to the Saints, who I think will shock some people this year, beating the Jaguars, beating the Colts, losing to the Broncos, beating the Seahawks, and then in their last 5 games, I only have them losing to the Rams. The only game I could see them possibly losing out of here, other than the divisional games, of course. So, out of the Rams game, the Patriots, and the Steelers, and the 49ers, I have them possibly losing to the Steelers, but I'm not entirely confident in that because I just don't think that we're going to know what's going on with our quarterback situation. And even though I love the Steelers, they're my favorite team, and I love the defense, I think the defense will give Derek Carr issues. I think it's going to be a very close loss for the Steelers. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. But rounding out my divisional rankings, I have the Chargers going 12-5, the Chiefs going 11-6 and taking second place in the division, the Broncos going 12-6 or 11-6 and taking third place in the division, and the Raiders going 11-6 and taking last. I think that this could be possible, and I'm not sure if this order will be correct. I might be shocked, and there might be different records. I'm not. This division is so hard for me to rank. I just can't give you an honest answer. But yeah, that's about all I got. Thanks, guys.